So I completely underestimated the SP404 Looper, and when Roland first added it, I thought it was a bit of a gimmick that I would use a couple times and then go back to using pattern sequencing and TR rec mode. But just a year later, and it's become my main way of making music on the SP404. But with the good comes the bad, and for all of the good things the Looper has added in my workflow, there are some issues. So today I want to show you my favorite way to make beats using the SP404 Looper, and the one change that helped me turn those ideas from loops into finished songs. Let's get into it. What works so well about the Looper compared to something like pattern sequencing is every single layer or overdub you can do different effects. So you're not bound to just the 4 bus effects. You can use 4 bus effects or however many you want for every single individual layer you want to do. So we're going to start with something simple. I'm just going to put a little reverb on. No, that's Kodama. I'm going to start with a little reverb, just a little. I mean, we're talking such a faint amount. And then what I've been doing lately is setting the measure to free, which means when you hit record, as long as you have auto trig on, it won't start recording until you actually start playing something. And then as soon as you hit the record again to end it, it just starts the loop. So now we've got our drums, and then what we can do is if we go over to our bus settings, see how we have bus 1 going into just bus 3, and then bus 2 going into bus 3, we can make it serial, so instead of running parallel, they run together. And then we've got an extra bus that maybe we can really nasty up the sound of this sample. But it's not going to affect the drums because the drums are already baked into the looper. So we're going to go resample. When we hit resample, the moment we start playing a pad, it's going to trigger the looper. So it's a nice way to overdub without having to wait for it to cycle back to the start. So here we go. Now what we need, I think, is like a lead. So let's go into our sound generator. Now normally I would run this through a bunch of processing and stuff, but I think, oh nice, it's already got C's working already. I think we might just leave it at that. It's got the Kodama, so it's working. Cosine as a waveform can kind of work alone. Like, so let's hit resample. Let's put this in. Yeah, there we go. So let's get a bass line though, or a bass note. Ooh, that's a big snare. All right, let's go into sound generator and we'll just get a sine wave. Maybe even triangle, because it still has a little bit of that harmonic. Yeah, that'll work. We'll put that up here. So the loop is done, but the problem is there's no way to build an arrangement off of that loop because there's only one overdub layer on the SP Looper, and this is the big problem that I discovered as I started using this workflow more. If you're just building a 1-minute song and just want to continually add loops on top of each other, then hey, it works perfectly. But if you wanted to take this 20-minute session, or however long it is, and figure out a way to create a full track from it with B sections, different parts, then you're kind of stuck because there's not much you can do on the SP404. Now I say on the SP404 because I did find a way to sort of have my cake and eat it too, in the sense that I can build this idea on the looper, just add endless layers where however many I want. I move it into the DAW and I stem split, because once it's there, if you sync the BPM or just make it the same BPM, if the stem split is decent enough, you can then rearrange the song, add whole new sections, move things around. And that's the one change to this workflow that really opened it up to allow me to finish songs rather than just make little loops. There's two ways to do this. You can either have the final loop as you've made it and just send that in, set the BPM to the same BPM, and we'll explain why in a second. Or you could do what I did here, which was actually perform the full looper idea. Either one's gonna work, because what we're gonna do is stem split it. So some DAWs, Logic included, have what's called a stem splitter. And then now that we have it split, you can actually see here where there normally would be other information from the synths and the bass. If I just mute everything else or solo just the drums, you're just hearing the drums. But everything else would be playing normally. So the reason I did this and why it doesn't matter whether you do a full live jam or just play the final loop you've created in is once you've stem split, you have every individual stem as best as it can do, and you can move things around. So the reason that I set my BPM is because then we actually have it nice and clean for chopping things. So let's say I wanted to actually start with the synth, right? So we could actually chop right here all the way to 17. And then we could even fade in the drums maybe and add additional effects. And then even better than just rearranging things, we can add additional parts. I always find with the DAW, right, it's like a blank page problem where I don't know where to start. But now we have the start point and I can just move with intention. Let's actually add, I'll put a session player and make, let's go like right here when the lead starts. Ooh. That actually kind of works, but what we'll do is we'll grid it up. I'll drop a little low end, a lot of high end, and then I really want to grid it up so we can put on chroma glow. And just, I'm talking like incredible amounts of saturation. And let's loop that as well. Let's take off even more low end here. So real quick, I just wanted to show you the final version with all of the MIDI and changes that I made. And so that's the beauty of using this sort of hybrid setup. You can start with the SP, you can build on the looper. The looper is awesome to just build ideas because you don't have to worry about quantize, you don't have to worry about patterns, resetting the patterns, BPM, because when you delete things on the SP, it resets things. It just gets through all of that tedious work and you just create. But the problem is it just builds on top of each other, right? There's no way to change overdubs, mute things and stuff like that. So I found this stem split actually gives me the best of both worlds where I can build the loop, build up all those layers, not worry about mixing and all that stuff because I stopped treating the looper as just another way to build a song and instead it's to start the idea. If I have 20 minutes to make music, I'm opening the looper because that's just where I can get something done and then I can expand on it later with this workflow. And if you want a deep dive in how to make the most of all of the bus effects and all 4 of the bus effects of the SP404, check out this video next. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.